Hello and welcome to the Boston Red Sox 2023 season preview and how their roster construction and season outlook relates to baseball cards and the players in general. The Red Sox finished 2022 with a 78-84 record, fifth in the division. Clearly underperformed. We thought they would compete for the division, not even close. That's being propped up by the Orioles overperforming. Blue Jays obviously were very good. They made the playoffs. Tampa Bay, great. Yankees, fantastic. So Red Sox are just in a really competitive division. With that said, I don't see a much better outlook for 2023. Some additions they did make. They signed Masataka Yoshida, Kenley Jansen back in bullpen, Justin Turner, potentially DH to replace J.D. Martinez, Corey Kluber. I'm surprised where he falls in their current rotation setup, but Kluber, two-time Cy Young Award winner, let's not forget about him. Adam Duvall, a little power in the outfield. Joely Rodriguez, Chris Martin as bullpen arms. Adalberto Mondesi made a little trade for him. And Jorge Alfaro to a minor league contract. I think the losses outweigh the additions, with Xander Bogaerts leading the charge. Xander's in San Diego now. They're going to miss him tremendously. J.D. Martinez, I just talked about him. Matt Barnes, Connor Seabold, Nathan Eovaldi, who I'm sure they would love to have back in the rotation, and Rich Hill, innings eater. So storylines for the 2023 Red Sox, obviously, probably center around Yoshida and what kind of addition he'll make to this lineup, how he's going to look against MLB pitching, and the transition to Major League Baseball is different for each player. But usually the first year is one of the worst years. So we'll see if he can come out and compete right away, or if maybe it takes a year to get used to MLB pitching on a day-to-day basis, the schedule, and what it looks like for 162 games in Boston. Chris Sale is back. Sale has essentially missed 2.5 seasons. We'll see what he does this year. Hopefully full season, no innings restrictions or anything like that. Triston Casas is up for a full season. We've been talking about Casas for 2 or 3 years now. I think it's time for a full-on breakout. I think the bullpen is improved, but that's because 2022 was so bad. They didn't know what they were doing at any point. I don't think they did enough offseason signings, trades, or anything like that to compete in the AL East, but they didn't, they did something. They are trying to win. They are trying to compete. But I don't see them making the playoffs. I'll get more to that to the end of, once I finish this and talk about the end of the year, or the overview of everything. I think if everything goes right, they could be above 500, but I think they're going to be slightly below. Alex Cora is still the manager there. He's a great manager, so I think he could steal a game or two, but I don't put a lot of stock in managers. But he's going to have this team competing with whatever players are on the field, but I still think they underachieve and finish below 500. We'll get started with their starting rotation. Chris Sale, entering his age 34 season, we have no idea what to expect. Hasn't pitched a full season since 2019. Obviously, 2020 was COVID season. Had Tommy John, and then last year he had rib injury, broken finger, all kinds of stuff for Chris Sale. So before that, though, he had 7 straight years of 25 starts. So surprisingly, aside from the Tommy John, which it feels like most pitchers get at some point in their career, the injuries aren't arm-related. He doesn't have a bad shoulder. Tommy John has proven that players can come back from that. So I'm actually not worried about Chris Sale and any type of injury history. I expect him to have a good season. I expect him to come out with no restrictions, and that is my personal belief at 34. What does Chris Sale have to lose? He's already signed a major contract. He's already had Tommy John, so there's no reason to really limit his innings or expect Boston to be careful with him. Chris Sale knows how to pitch in the big leagues, and he knows how to get out, so I think he'll be fine. He has 4 years of 200-plus innings. There are not many pitchers in baseball that can say that anymore. 7 straight top 6 finishes in the Cy Young voting with 0 wins. Chris Sale could get that monkey off his back this year. I don't expect it, but I'm sure it's something that if you asked him, hey, when his career's over, what's one thing you wish had happened? Win a Cy Young. So we'll see if he can get one of those under the belt. 7 straight top 6 finishes is impressive. And 4 of those years, he finished in the top 25 of MVP voting. So Chris Sale has been a great pitcher, and one of my favorite fantasy analysts, Scott White, has him pegged for a breakout season, or I guess bounce back. Breakout, bounce back. sleeper, however you want to classify it. Chris Sale could have a very good 2023, and I'm excited to watch him. Pitch, and like I said, I assume no innings cap. If you want an example, we can look at Justin Verlander in that aspect. Verlander had no innings cap when he came back, and just casually won a Cy Young at age 39. So if Chris Sale can do that, we'll be happy. The number 2 starter, I just said Corey Kluber. He would be a better number 4 starter in my opinion. He's an innings eater at this point in his career, which is unfortunate because he is a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. From 2014 to 2018, he was fantastic. Racked up over 200 strikeouts 3 times. If you're interested in Corey Kluber cards like myself, 2013 Topps Update rookie with no rookie logo is the card to go to. He does have a 2007 Bowman draft rookie if you're into Bowman over Topps, but the Topps logo is a horizontal where he's pitching and it has like both his arms out, and it's an awesome photo. I know because he's wearing an Indians uniform. Unfortunately, he's not the pitcher he once was, but he is making the AL East tour. This is his 3rd team. Pitched for the Rays and Yankees. And he's not the pitcher he was where he was throwing 95 and he had 18 strikeouts in the game before. But in 2021, he did throw a no-hitter with the Yankees. No-hitters are, pretty much luck-based. But he still has skills. He still knows how to get pitchers out. There's a good article on The Athletic about Corey Kluber and how he's just had to change the way he approaches the game because his pitch mix has changed. His velocity has dropped. His average velocity, I think, since 2014 is down 5 miles an hour. 5 miles an hour, but he's still a major league pitcher who knows how to get guys out. He is entering his age 37 season, 23, I wish. Age 37 season. He's going to be an innings eater. He's probably going to go 500, 11-11, somewhere in that range. An ERA right around 4, but he's a guy who can be there for hopefully 31 starts, 32 starts, and not pitch you out of many games. He's just going to hold it down for 4 to 6 innings. He might sneak into the 7th every once in a while, but as a number 2, I don't love it. Despite him averaging 1K per inning most of his career last year, that was not the case, and I don't want to say, hey, he's done. He can't do it anymore. He's just not going to be the same pitcher. He's going to get outs, not by strikeout, but he's going to get outs, and he's going to keep you in games. Number 3 on the Red Sox rotation is Nick Pivetta entering his age 37 season. Pivetta is a weird one in the card world. He has a 2017 rookie update combo card. Those aren't my favorite cards. If you want to collect Nick Pivetta rookies, you're going to have someone else on the card with him. It is what it is, but not my favorite. 33 starts at almost 1K per inning, 180 innings pitched. That is better than I realized, I think. Nick Pivetta bounced around with the Phillies, and then I think he spent a little time in Texas. Better than I expected from Pivetta last season. And if he continues to do that and lower his walk rate, which he's done the last 3 seasons, I think we could, see a surprising season from Pivetta again. And as a number 3 starter, number 2 starter, if you want to put him over Kluber, I have no problem with that. I think it'd be perfectly fine and acceptable. He did drop out of the WBC for Team Canada, so I don't know if anything's lingering. I believe they were bringing him in slow. I would have to check updates on news, but I assume he'll be ready by opening day. But, after this, I would check on Pivetta's status. Number 4 is James Paxton. He's still a pitcher. I wrote his name in pen, but maybe it should have been pencil. I had to look up when the last year he was relevant was, and to answer my own question, he was with Boston last year but didn't pitch. I didn't know that. In April of 2021, he had Tommy John, so his last relevant season was 2019 with the Yankees. So here we go. Sale and James Paxton last relevant in 2019. So 2 of your 5 starters are just huge question marks. That's why I worry about Boston so much. But he did go 15-6 with a 3.82 ERA in 2019 with the Yankees. So when he was good, he was more than serviceable. He was a number 2 starter, and I would love to see him do that again. 11.1 K per 9. That's a number that, again, when I saw it, I was like, really, Paxton? Good for you. But he's age 34. He's your 4th pitcher in his 30s. All 4 pitchers so far are in their 30s. I'd worry about that. Obviously these guys show that they do have some injury history, so I would worry short term, long term, what outlook do they have? I don't see a ton of starters coming up through the Red Sox organization. I will talk about that a little bit, but I think that should be a focus in the very near future, signing a big arm and also bringing in young talent, hopefully. Paxton, 2014 Topps rookie. As a Mariner, it's kind of a cool photo, the gloves up to his face, but if you want to add Paxton rookie, 2014 Topps. Number 5 starter, maybe starter, is Garrett Whitlock. Whitlock's another guy that's coming in slow in spring training, so I assume he'll be ready by opening day, but I don't know about workload. I don't know if that first start is 3 innings, 4 innings, 5 innings. He is the most exciting pitcher. He's a 2021 Topps rookie. Late season addition. I think he's an update, and then heritage high number as well. Not a ton of rookies, but he's the most exciting. But I still temper expectations. We don't know what to expect from him. He only had 9 starts last year. Started sometimes long relief and sometimes closing. Even the Red Sox didn't know what to do with Whitlock. He's a good pitcher with a fastball in the upper 90s, 96 average velocity. That's pretty strong. Good changeup, and if he works on his slider, he could be a good 3-pitch pitcher with strikeout ability. But I don't know what to expect from him. I don't know how many starts we could expect from him. I don't know how many innings we can expect from him. So it's just a huge question mark at that number 5. He probably has the most upside as far as card growth. Everyone else, we kind of know who they are. Maybe Chris Sale has a nice end-of-year resurgence, and maybe he gets that Cy Young or potentially Hall of Fame one day. But aside from that, Garrett Whitlock in the short term is probably the best buy. Number 6 on the starters is Brian Balo. We did see him a little bit last year, and again, another player dealing with some stuff in spring training. So I've named 3 of their potential 6 starters are all dealing with something in the spring already. So the starting rotation is older and already dealing with stuff. So just huge question marks all over for Boston. I'm worried that they could have just an erasable season where no one talks about this. Hopefully Yoshida can provide some type of boost. Hopefully Triston Casas can be the guy, because I see a little bit of hiccups along the way. Balo, with all that said, could be by the end of the year their number 2 starter. He is a very good pitcher. He's only 24, entering his age 24 season. So if everything goes right and he pitches all season, it'll essentially be his tryout year. Could he be a long-term contract candidate in Boston? Could he be the number 2 starter next year? Could he be someone that they build around? If you think he could be, his rookie's in 2023 Topps Series 1. He'll be in every product from here on out. If you look at his pitch mix on Fangraphs, it is exciting because the breakdown of all the pitches that he has, his fastball, curveball, changeup, slider, I don't even know if those are all his. I'm just saying on the breakdown it has all of them listed. Each one has gotten better since he's been in the organization. So that's a good sign. You'll see a pitcher usually improve 1 or 2 pitches, or their command gets significantly better. His command, his fastball, all his off-speed stuff has all rated higher now than it was before. So literally the first player I've seen with that rating. So that's a really good sign as far as he's continuing to improve. And he's only 24. If he continues to do that, maybe he is something special. One thing that did stick out to me was his walk rate's a little high, which makes his whip a little high, which means he has too many people on base, and he's not great at limiting steals. And with the new stolen base rules, we could see those steals kind of get away from him, and all of a sudden he's dealing with runners in scoring position a lot more. I don't know if that's something that they're working on in the offseason. I assume it is. I mean, all major leaguers are working on something all the time, but it is something that, in my opinion, gives him a really high range of outcomes this season. If he has improved on that and it doesn't affect him, or his command still gets better, he could be that number 2 that I'm talking about. So Brian Balo, high range of outcomes, exciting. At least they have someone exciting as far as pitching goes, but just huge question mark. We don't know what to expect. Another person who could make starts for them this year, Brandon Walter. No major league experience, and not often that there's a guy competing for a rotation spot for opening day that I've literally never heard of. But Brian Walter is a 26th round draft pick with 0 cards. No Bowman, no Topps, no anything. So I don't know a ton about Brandon Walter. I don't even know how to prospect him. I don't know how much major league time he's going to have, but he's around. Someone else who could make starts for them this year, Brian Mata. He's in 2018 Bowman. He signed at 19 out of the Dominican. Gradual rise through the system with really average numbers. Nothing stuck out to me at all. He had a 2.49 ERA over 18 starts last year. High whip with good Ks. I mean, those are all good things. Not the high whip, but good numbers that maybe he's a good number 3, number 4 starter. I don't think there's huge upside, but he could see spot starts this season. And someone that has a ton of Bowman cards across all the years since he was in 2018 Bowman. I think he's been in every year since. So Mata, a lot of options, but if you want to target something, 2018 Bowman. The starting 9 for Boston is fine. Kike Hernandez, likely leadoff, third year with Boston. He's a big character guy, and by character I mean he's like a goofball. There's a story that just came out with him and Justin Turner during spring training about the most embarrassing thing. I'm not going to get into it, but if you want to search that, it's pretty funny. He was all the way back to 2019 Bowman draft, and here's another guy who has a weird card history. He has a rated rookie in 2014 Panini products, and then in 2015 he has a Topps update card with the Dodgers, but no logo on that. So another no logo guy. And I understand why Topps does it. These guys sometimes debut 2 years before their first card comes out, so they don't want to necessarily designate him a rookie. But at the same time, for me as a collector, I like seeing a rookie logo. So it is what it is. He signed at $10 million this year, and I was really surprised to see that. Low OBP for leadoff guy. Nothing really going crazy. As like jumping off the numbers jumping off the page as far as numbers go. He's in the leadoff spot because I think they have to put someone. I think you could see Casas, Yoshida, or Verdugo all get leadoff at bats. We'll see how that goes. In the 2-hole, Rafael Devers, the stud, the man, the $300 million man, signed an offseason extension, which is awesome for him. And I think Boston wanted to get it done since they saw Mookie leave, and they traded away Mookie because they couldn't get a contract extension done and didn't really get a lot of return for it. So they wanted to keep their guy in Boston. Devers is here. 2014 Bowman draft and 2018 Topps rookies. Interesting about 2014 Bowman draft is he and Eloy Jimenez are the only 2 players and the last players that I can remember that were in a Bowman draft product. It was their first Bowman card without actually being drafted. They were both international signees. So that's a first and probably a last. I don't think we'll ever see that again. They'll probably save the international signings for the next year's Bowman or Bowman Chrome. So interesting thing. Devers is a stud. He already has 139 home runs in his career, age 26 season, with a lot of money in his pocket. Not a lot to say. He's just great. He's great. I looked up his card prices based on what he's done in his career and where I think he could project at long-term career numbers. Maybe gets to 400 home runs, things like that. His card prices are where they should be. He's not overvalued. He's not undervalued. If you want to collect a Boston player, hopefully for the lifetime of his contract, Rafael Devers is your guy. But you're not going to probably get many steals. He has not steals on the base paths. I mean in the card world, or the base paths. He's just valued where he should be, and it's a little higher than you might realize, just because he's been doing this. He's been in the league 5 years now. Hard to imagine because he still feels so young at age 26. To give you some reference, Adley Rutschman's 25. So for what he's done so far in his career, he's a stud and got paid for it. Justin Turner entering his age 38 season. He got a 2-year deal. I don't know. He definitely took a step backwards last year. Declining offensive output, but we could see a little back end of his career push because of the Green Monster. If he can lift the ball and continue to hit fly balls, he could surprise us with some home runs. He has another weird card path, 2018 or 2008 Bowman Chrome, and then 2010 Topps products as both an Oriole and a Met. I think he's in finest as an Oriole, and then later Bowman products as a Met. And we didn't really, know Justin Turner for his breakout until he was a Dodger. So you could pick up all kinds of Justin Turner rookies for relatively inexpensive for a guy who has a World Series ring and a pretty good career. He did only have 13 home runs last year, and he has only hit 27 home runs in his career 3 times, with all of that said, he hits a lot of doubles, and those could turn into home runs in Boston. If he suddenly hits 30, literally 30, wouldn't surprise me at all. Slot him in at the DH. He's not going to play third base. Devers is there. I don't think he's going to touch first base. They have Casas, so a guy who might play 150 games, only focused on hitting. I could see it. In the cleanup spot is Masataka Yoshida. I say cleanup now. I could see him batting first. I think they want to keep Devers at 2. They might switch him and Turner at some point, so maybe he bats first, third, or fourth. I don't really see him dipping lower than that. I don't see them putting Verdugo in front of him unless it's exactly to the leadoff spot. Maybe Casas, if he struggles, maybe they switch the 4 and 6 hole, but I think he's going to bat first, third, or fourth all year. Yoshida obviously has not actually debuted, so he doesn't have any cards. His first MLB card in a Red Sox uniform will probably be a Topps on-demand product. His first pack pulled card or pack rookie could be Series 2, but I expect update. And the reason for that, if we look all the way back to 2022, yes, a full season ago, Seiya Suzuki, opening day roster. Everyone knew he was there. He signed early. We expected him to make the Series 2 checklist, and he did not. With Topps still trying to catch up, being backed up from the last 2 seasons of cards, running all different times, release dates, I expect him to be 2023 update, but we'll see how that shakes out. Surprisingly, he has a small frame. He's only 5'8", 175. That's smaller than I thought. But I could see him producing 25 homers, 35 doubles. That's a lot, but with a 300 batting average, I think that's the best case scenario, and probably doesn't happen this year, but maybe next year. I think a good comp for him is Steven Kwan. Kwan only had 6 home runs last year, but Yoshida definitely has more power. So 6 home runs is definitely under where I project him to be, probably in the 12 to 15 home run range in that first season, with the expectations he could hit 20. And then, if he figures out MLB pitching and is successful, maybe we see 25 next season, and we go from there. Good plate discipline and a 2-to-1 walk to K ratio. I'll talk about a lot of guys who have the exact opposite. They have a 5-to-1 K to walk ratio or a 2-to-1 K to walk ratio, and I say that's good. This guy walks twice as many times as he strikeouts. I love that number. That's fantastic to see. So even if Yoshida's struggling making contact or making or hitting for any type of power, his plate discipline is going to keep him on base and keep him relevant and in the lineup. Alex Verdugo, probably in the 5 hole. 2018 Topps. He's as a Dodger, like I talked about that Mookie trade. Verdugo was the big piece, and I think he's underperformed to what they wanted. I think we're still waiting for him to warrant his card price and his Mookie trade price. I was a guy that was high on Verdugo. I really thought he would come into Boston and be the guy, be the number 1 player on their team. Really exciting. I was obviously forgetting about Rafael Devers, but entering his age 27th season, his career high in home runs is 13. I think a lot of us would say we projected him for a little more, but 13 home runs, career high. Maybe he hits there. Maybe he gets there again. With those power numbers, you'd expect maybe he has speed. He doesn't steal much. He doesn't strike out much, but he's making a lot of weak contact that isn't producing a 300 batting average, isn't producing, 60 or 70 extra base hits. I don't know what we're going to do. I think he's better suited for leadoff than anyone else they have in their lineup, but I'm also just not, going crazy over Alex Verdugo. Is Triston Casas, and in my opinion, the bright spot and definite breakout candidate for the Red Sox. He has 2023 Topps Series 1 rookies. He'll be in everything here on out. But if you want to get in now, you could look at 2018 Bowman Draft. I think his auto's in the 100 to 125 range. Not a bad price to pay, in my opinion, for his upside. He has already homered this spring. Obviously, we're 2 weeks in. It's not a huge deal. But 5 homers and 75 Major League at-bats last season. Not a big deal. Nothing to go crazy about. If you project that over a full season, though, it's 40 homer pace. So he could pull that off. OPS just under 900. Good average. Good walk to K ratio. He does everything that I want a hitter to do. He has power. He has a good plate discipline. I think first base is his. I don't think he has any playing concerns. I think he's going to lock in. He's slated with no one behind him. I don't think Bobby Dalbeck's going to pressure him. I don't think they're going to pull Turner over to first or anything like that. So I think if he plays every day, we could be really excited about Triston Casas going into next season. If he falls in the leadoff role, it could be even better. Suddenly instead of 600 at-bats or plate appearances, he gets 640. That would be a great number. Maybe that 40 home runs turns into 42. I mean, I'm just calling out 40 homers like it's casual. He could pull it off. It just feels like he has that ability. I have him right now batting sixth based on what the Red Sox are projecting or what they're looking at as far as spring training lineups. I think it would be terrible if he hit sixth. I think that would be a complete waste. The Red Sox likely aren't going to make the playoffs, so what are they doing batting the second most exciting player on their team, sixth? He should be leadoff, or if they put Yoshida at leadoff and then Casas to the 4 hole, I would love that significantly better. If you had Yoshida, Devers, Justin Turner, and then Casas, that's a much more exciting 1 through 4. It's a much more powerful 1 through 4. We'll see what they do. I hope that's what they do. I think just batting him sixth would be terrible for him and terrible for the team. I just don't like it at all. He's only entering his age 23 season. I think there's a lot to like about Casas, and on my players to buy list, he will be number 1. Just a heads up. 7 is probably Adam Duvall entering his age 34 season. We probably don't talk about the 2021 Braves as World Series champs without Adam Duvall. He had a crazy season that year, 38 home runs, and he was part of the reason Atlanta won that title. So I do like that he has that power, but with it comes a lot of swing and miss and not enough walks to make up for it. 677 OPS from a power-only guy is not going to cut it. He needs to have a higher on-base percentage and a higher slugging percentage to be just a power-only guy. So Duvall's there as depth. He's there to maybe have a bounce-back season and maybe reclaim some of that 2021 magic, but I'm just not overly excited about him. He could bounce back in Boston. He can play all 3 outfield spots. He's not a center fielder, but he could pull it off if they needed him to. So I expect him to play a lot. He's probably going to be in the lineup most days. And if you're looking for Duvall cards, 2016 Topps update, he was in the Home Run Derby that year, so I think he has a rookie debut and the Home Run Derby card. So a lot of Duvall in 2016, or you can go all the way back to 2012 Bowman for Duvall's first Bowman. In the 8 hole is a catcher. I'm just going to call it a catcher because I'm not sure. Reese McGuire probably slated in to start. Jorge Alfaro signed a minor league contract. Connor Wong played a lot last year, but Wong I think is dealing with something already this spring, so I don't know if he makes the opening day roster. They obviously brought Alfaro in for depth, and we were excited about Alfaro back in 2017, 2018, 2019, but he hasn't lived up to the hype. Catcher is tough across the league, but what I put in my notes is this group does not spark joy. There's not a lot to get excited about. McGuire, he hit well with Boston when he came over last year, but not a lot of power. If you're interested, 2019 Topps rookie. Alfaro, 2017 Topps, and Wong, 2022 Topps rookies. Again, from the Orioles video, I'm not going to invest a lot in catchers. I'm putting them here because you have to have a catcher, and this is a defense-first team, definitely, with 3 potential catchers. Christian Arroyo is slotted in right now at 9. He's the Trevor Story Band-Aid. Arroyo is entering his age 28 season. He is all the way back in 2017 update. He was a pretty highly touted prospect, but hasn't lived up to the hype. I want to say he went to... he was the Evan Longoria trade piece when he went to Tampa Bay. Then he came to Cleveland in a trade, and finally out in Boston. With everyday playing time, there could be a little window to sell his cards if you're sitting on anything from 2017 update like me. He lowered his strikeout rate significantly last season, so I do like to see that. Could be a fine number 9 hitter to hold over till Trevor Story is a good bench guy. He had a couple of games last year where he showed why he was a highly touted prospect, but he just has not lived up to the hype. And the team also signed Yu Chang. So Arroyo, fine player. Yu Chang could take some playing time, but again, it's just nothing for me to get overly excited about. Chang is in 2020 Topps products as an Indian if you're interested in that, and he also will play for Taiwan in the WBC. The bench for Boston. Chang, catcher spot, perfect. I mentioned Bobby Dalbec a little bit, and Jarren Duran. What stinks about Duran and Dalbec, Going into 2021 Topps or baseball season, the first release of Topps baseball cards, Bobby Dalbec was one of the reasons 2021 was projected to be so high. Obviously, there was Mountcastle among others, but Dalbec was part of the reason we were all excited. He has not lived up to the hype. Jarren Duran. Everything I just said about the hype for 2021, I could say about Duran into 2022. Sure, we were looking for Wander, but Duran was supposed to be like the backup plan. He could carry some of the card values as well. Duran was a breakout in 2020 when he had his first Bowman release. He kind of projected up faster than we expected. He got here before Casas, which was a surprise. But neither has a starting spot in Boston, and they seem to be done with both, which is disappointing. Even Boston fans already seem to be done with Duran. They don't seem excited about him. He had a walk-off, and I think Duran and his mom were the only two that celebrated. It's a very weird situation. I think Duran is one of those guys that if he doesn't start this year, his card prices are already down, but they're going to plummet. And maybe he's a change of scenery guy. Maybe he has a little stint after he's done in Boston. I don't know if he gets cut, traded, whatever. Maybe he ends up in Pittsburgh or something. And he becomes a fan favorite there because he actually does perform. I'm not done with Duran. I'm not buying Duran, but I'm not done with him either. I just think Boston is. We'll go to the bullpen next. 2022 Boston bullpen was a mess. They had 5 different closers at some point. Matt Barnes, Garrett Whitlock. I can't even name them all. But guys that we thought were going to be fine in 2022 were just not good. And you could tell by the offseason additions that was a concern for them. They added Kenley Jansen. He's probably their everyday closer. They added Martin. They added Richard Blyer and Joely Rodriguez. Tanner Houck is out there. Tanner Houck is a guy who I think could start. He has incredible movement on his pitches and just a ton of weapons. But he has durability concerns, so I don't know what they're going to do with Houck. I could see him in a long relief role. He did start 4 games last year, and then if this older rotation of Sale, Pivetta, Paxton, and Kluber start to struggle, maybe we see him back as a starter. I would love to see it, but we'll see how Boston handles it. Maybe he gets some spot starts, and maybe they stretch him back out as the season goes along. Boston's prospect situation, it isn't going to really affect 2023. Most of their top 10 prospects are more than a year away. Their number 1 prospect, and you'll see him in anywhere from 9 to, I want to say, 30 on some prospect lists, is Marcelo Meyer. He was their 2021 first rounder. He is one of the reasons 2021 Bowman draft is so special. He's projected as a shortstop. But like I said, he's probably not getting to the majors till 2025 at the earliest. Miguel Blaise is the next Red Sox on any list. Not going to see him next season. Maybe a September call-up and he gets 30 at-bats, but I just don't expect him to help this year. But he is talented. He still needs to develop, but we'll see what happens with Blaise. And then Nick York is probably coming along as well. I want to say I saw him on some top 100s last year, more so than this year. He just needs to continue to develop. He's a solid piece. His projections aren't, MLB All-Star or anything like that. So, again, not a system that sparks a lot of interest. Sadane Rafaela, he's in 2022 Bowman. He could likely see the majors this year, but the same thing I said about Yoshida, his frame doesn't. I just can't expect much from him. Center field shortstop combo. So the guy's fast, can do a lot on the field, but he's 5'8", 150 pounds. I mean, he's probably one of those players that's really good at baseball, but won't be hobby good once he's up here. He's not going to be a good speed combo guy. Defense is nice, but doesn't move the needle much if you're defense only. So I want to be wrong on Rafaela. I want him to come up and be a very good baseball player and be hobby good, but I don't see it. Is only his age 22 season. He has a lot of time to get develop more power. And in Boston, same thing I said with Turner, with the Green Monster. If you can lift the ball and hit some fly balls, you can steal some cheap home runs. One of the scouting reports said he's a smart baseball player. I do like to see that. That means you can get by on doing a lot of things, being a good defensive player, not running into outs, stealing bases. Maybe not speed-based steals, but just smart baseball, knowing that a pitcher has certain tendencies or something like that. So I do like seeing that he's a smart baseball player, but again, it's not someone I'm going to rush out and buy. Their 2022 first-round pick, Mikey Romero, drafted out of high school. So when do we see him? 2027, 2028. He spent some time in rookie and A-ball last year. Small sample size, but he did hold his own. I'm not going to get overly excited about that. So prospect-wise, I don't see anyone else coming. I don't see anyone. I went through the roster resource on Fangraphs. I don't see what else could happen or who else could come up. Which brings me to players we could buy. I said number one on that list was Triston Casas. I talked about why I would like him. He's going to be all over in 2023 Tops, and I don't think he's getting the love that he should after the Series 1 release. I think his prices are too low. I've tried to buy some things and I haven't won yet, so maybe I don't believe as much as I should. With that said, on my number 2 on my list is also Triston Casas. He just has the makings and he checks all the boxes on a list of players I would want to have. He has all the potential. He has a good eye at the plate. For young players, I think that's really key. You see a lot of these guys flame out because they strike out too much. Looking at you, Jared Kelenic, can't hit a curveball. He can make contact. He can hit the ball hard. He can hit the ball far. Decent defender at first. He's my guy. Sign me up. Next on my buy list, Devers. I mentioned him. He probably needs to win an MVP at some point in his career before we talk about Hall of Fame projections, but it could happen. I'm not counting him out. He's still way too young to do that. He's 26 years old, been in the majors for 5 seasons, so I could see him having an eventual Hall of Fame trajectory, and maybe that's why we should buy him now, but you probably have another year, maybe 3, before we have a clearer picture of where he could end up career stats-wise, what type of projections we could look at for home runs, RBIs, runs, on-base percentage for a 3 to 5 year window, what we expect his peak to be. And then if you're looking for a potential Hall of Famer, you could look at Chris Sale. His PSA 10 rookie sells for $20. You could add a PSA 10, 2011 Topps Chris Sale rookie. For $20, you would think his pop report is through the roof. And if we look at 2020 Topps Luis Robert, probably has 10,000, 15,000 graded. As of March 1st, Chris Sale's PSA 10 pop report. So the total PSA 10 rookies of Chris Sale of his 2011 Topps, 598. Seems like an absolute buying opportunity. I talked about his 6 top 5 finishes, or 7 top 6 Cy Young finishes without a win. I still think it could happen. Look at just exactly what Verlander did. Chris Sale could do that coming into this year. He only has 5 2011 Topps Golds graded in 10. Another target. A pop report of 5 of a current baseball player is kind of crazy. And it also made me wonder, was there something that happened with 2011 Topps Gold cards? Only 5 have graded a PSA 10. And Chris Sale may not be your favorite player. He has some character issues. If you remember, he cut up the old-timey jerseys in Chicago because he didn't want to wear them. He ripped down the minor league stuff, whatever. I don't even know what it was in that minor league clubhouse that he tore apart, but he did, after a start in the minors. So maybe Chris Sale isn't your favorite player, and maybe that's why so few cards have been graded. But for a player as good as he was in his peak, I think this is a window where maybe you have some Chris Sale cards hiding in 2011 Top somewhere. Check them out. If they're worth sending in, I would at least try. PSA 10, 5 of them are golds. That's crazy. Overall, though, on the Red Sox, 2023 expectations, I just don't see a path for them to overperform. I don't see enough players on this roster that could do anything could do more than what they're expected to do. I don't know how we could expect Verdugo to break out. Devers already does so much. I don't know how much higher he can go. This pitching staff, Corey Kluber isn't going to come out and throw 95 again. Nick Pivetta is fine. He's fine. That's literally all I have to say. James Paxton, he's not going to come out and throw 180 innings. I hope he gets 100 innings. So this team, I just don't see a path for him to overperform. I don't see them making the wild card or the playoffs. I think they just have too many average guys. Just meh as far as their roster goes. Win total in Vegas is 78.5. I would hammer the under. Sure, I see a world where they're 81 and 81, but I think that's literally the best case scenario for this team. So I'll take the under on the Red Sox. I don't like what's happening in that system, but I do like Triston Casas. He would be my number one and pretty much only target to buy for this team. That's my 2023 Boston Red Sox season rundown. I feel like this video was a little choppy and I was a little uncomfortable, and it's because I don't like anything about this team other than Casas. So if it felt like I was down on this team, I really am. I don't mean to be. I want to watch everyone. I wish every baseball player could be successful unless they play for the Twins. But as far as who to buy who you want. If there's someone on this team you like to collect them. But overall, I'm just not excited. If this video was still interesting, this is, in my opinion, as far as team previews go, this is probably the worst one I've made so far. So if you liked this video, you should go watch the rest of them. I'll put in the description of this video the notes that I have, what I thought of each player. I won't put down the full breakdown of each player, but I'll put down who I think we should potentially buy and what I think their season win total looks like. If you like this video, toss me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you on the next one. Thank you.